Hi, and welcome to A Drummer's Guide to, the podcast all about the things that it takes to be a professional musician aside from actually playing your instrument. My name is Emily Dolan Davis. I am a drummer, have been since 1999, professionally since 2008, and helping others to do the same since 2018. And that is why we are here today, and we are live. And I am nervous. I haven't done a live in such a long time. And I just thought, you know what, this is a nice excuse to kind of get going. So obviously, if you're in the room, hi, how are you? Please do make yourself known. It's always nice to see who's in and just saying hi and stuff like that. I think I've got things set up right, but again, it's been such a long time. I feel like I'm doing my first live stream all over again. So yeah, if you wouldn't mind just saying hi in the chat so I don't feel like I'm shouting into the void, that would be nice. But equally, if you want to stay silent, that is fine. Just to give you a bit of a sort of something like this, how it's going to run basically. This episode should be around about 30 to 40 minutes, I'm hoping. Although if you know anything about me, you know that I like a chat, so it might be a little bit longer, but I'm going to try and stick to that. I have some questions that have come in before the episode, so I have a list of questions. But if you have any questions in the room, as it were, either relating to what I'm already talking about, that would be great, like any follow-up questions, or if you have any other new questions you'd like to ask me, then I will do my best to answer them. So I'm just gonna, like I say, because I'm aware that people are going to be watching this back, I'm gonna try to not be too like la 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 reading questions in silence, or like reading too many things that make there be a lot of dead air. Not sure that makes actual sense, but here we are anyway. So let's see who's in the room anyway. So we've got David Lemids. Hello, how are you? Saying Emily Cole. Hello, David. It's lovely to see you. Head of the Bonkers Squad, I feel. That's what I always feel about you, David. I hope that you're doing really well. Matt Lacey is here. Hi, Matt Lacey. How are you doing? And Shogun Rob Quinn is here. Hi, Rob. We already spoke yesterday, and that was lovely. And it's lovely to see you here today. I guess that gig went ahead, or didn't go ahead. But anyway, it's nice to have you here. Oh, and I'm flicking things all over the shop. And David Hayward is here as well. Hello. Do you know what? This is a room full of a lot of students, which is fantastic. So welcome, welcome, welcome. So I'm going to start out just by doing some of the questions that have been sent in to me. And like I say, some of these I've actually gotten a long time ago, but I really didn't feel that I could do a valuable full episode on them. So I thought, let me just stick them all together so that I can give what I feel is going to be a short answer. We shall see. And yeah, so I thought, let me just start off with those questions. I'll take breaks after every sort of 3 questions to see if there's any questions in the room, as it were. Like I say, follow-up questions or brand new ones, just to kind of keep it keep it flowing, hopefully. Again, it's mainly for the people that are watching and listening back, because I'm well aware that I sometimes can go off on one. So, Steve Chaffee, who I still cannot say your name correctly, but hi, Steve. It's lovely to see you as well. Okay, so let's see what we've got going. So the first question I'm going to answer today is, and a lot of these are anonymous. Some of them did actually tell me who they were and they wanted to shout out, but this one is anonymous. So, this is the first question. Is there space in the scene for drummers who, and let's say musicians, who aren't hustling full time but just want to play gigs for fun? Any tips on how to do that? So, okay, my response to that, honestly, is that if you're in that position, honestly, you're in the best position possible, because I think the majority of musicians are in that position where they just want to be playing music. It may be just in a rehearsal room, or it may be like down the local pub, or maybe a bigger gig, but it's not like high stakes. You're not wanting to make it your living or anything like that. You just want to be out playing. So I think that, yes, there is a space for that, a very large space and a very fruitful space. So they were saying, like, what would you suggest to kind of get into that space? So for me, if I were in that position, I would go on to places like Gumtree. Like, there are so many bands looking for musicians locally in so many different genres. Some of them are like tribute bands, or like just a fan of this band or that band. We want to just jam some of their songs. Also reaching out to like your fellow musicians that you already know and just be like, guys, I just fancy having a play. Like there was, I'd forgotten about this actually. There's a bass player that I used to work with a lot. So George. Love George. He's a big part of my history as a musician, and I adore that man. And he, for a time, we used to meet up. I think it was just me and him. I'm pretty certain it was. And we used to just play through Tower of Power stuff because we both liked it, but we didn't have an opportunity to actually play it. And that was fantastic. Like, it was so much fun. And as I say, I think it is a different mindset, but there certainly is a space to find that. So for me, like I say, Gumtree's a good one. I reckon Facebook would be good, like Facebook groups maybe. I'm sure there must be a group, like locally, like local musicians or something, and just putting a beacon out there. Because sometimes I think you've got to be the brave one and just go, I want to do this thing. Is anyone interested? It's just going to be for a bit of fun. A lot of the time, people will be like, yeah, actually, I quite fancy doing that. Like once a week, meeting up somewhere in a studio and having to play through some bits. Fantastic. And you never know where it might lead as well. But yeah, I think that not only is there a space for that kind of musician, I think that there is a thriving opportunity for that kind of musician. So definitely go for it, for sure. So that's my answer to that. The next question says, can you share your perspective on West End pit work and touring work, especially how to get noticed and hired? Now, this you would imagine would be on a full episode, like a full episode subject, but the reason it's on this shorter one is because honestly I don't have a huge amount of experience in the world of West End pit work, but from what I understand, knowing pit drummers, the best thing to do with that is, first of all, there are quite a few open auditions for theatre work, and obviously not everything starts out in the West End. So I would say get some experience on smaller shows that may be touring, or, you know, in smaller theatres. Pantomimes are really good as well. It's coming up to pantomime season. There are often open auditions for those sorts of things. So I'd say definitely aim towards that for a starting point. And then get in touch with pit musicians that are already out there doing it, and just make friends, because often I find a lot of those guys and girls need depths. So if you're, say, I'm a drummer for instance, I would just get in touch with the guys that I know that do that West End stuff. Luckily, some of them are already my friends, and I would just be like, look, if you ever need a dep, can you give me a shout? Or is there anything coming up that you've heard about on the grapevine that you think that I might be good for, or something along those lines. So for me, that's probably what I would do if I were in this person's shoes. But again, it's more theoretical than practical, purely because I haven't done it. Do you know what? I've done one theatre show in my life, I think. Like, have I? Yeah. So it was a week-long run. It was at, I can't even remember the name of the place. But anyway, it was up near North Middlesex Hospital. And it was Annie Get Your Gun, and I think I must have been about 19 when I did it. And it was traumatic because I couldn't read all that well, but I got the charts beforehand, and it ended up being a lot of fun. But that is the extent of my experience when it comes to like theatre shows. So I'm probably not the best person to ask, but that would be what I see around me, educated guess of how I would pursue that line of music, if that makes sense. So right, I'm going to reply to one more question, and then I'll go to the live chat. So if you have any questions yourself, please do put them in there, and I will do my best to say something useful, hopefully. So the third question is, do you still tour with bands or artists? This is, okay, on paper, yes. However, for those that have been listening for a while, like even talking about this makes me uncomfortable. So I went through a separation and a divorce. I have been for the last couple of years. And since then, I have not been on the road for various reasons. And within the last 6 months, I have not had any access to an acoustic kit even. That has come partly from circumstance, partly from choice. You know, I believe, you know, most of us do have more than one choice. And yes, the last time I was touring was the back end of 2022. That was with Kim Wilde. And then the last sort of live shows that I did was with The Voice Kids, and that was the beginning of 2023. And then I did this random gig for a friend of mine at the back end of 2023. Joe Burt, shout out Joe Burt, one of my favourite musicians on the planet. But that was literally the last time that I played a gig. And in fact, it wasn't even the whole gig. I just got up for a couple of songs. That's all it was. But yeah, so currently I'm not on the road, and I'm really enjoying this different pace and different, I don't know, I'm focusing on different things right now, which is really nice, like helping people through my coaching. I'm doing my degree in psychology and counselling, which is, I love it so much, and it's certainly something that I want to lean into more. But in saying that, I still would say I'm open to touring and gigging and all of that, but for right now, I'm exploring this whole thing of like, yeah, helping other people get on the road. Oh, dude, it's so fulfilling. Like, I can't, in fact, some of my students here, honestly, it is mad. Like, when you see things starting to work for students, like, and they have these light bulb moments and things start, and they go, oh my God, yeah, I've never thought about that. Or, oh, I did this thing and then this happened. And I'm like, oh, this is so good. So I'm enjoying that a lot, I've got to say. So yes, anyway, I'm going to come into the room. Let's see who has come in since I started and if anyone has any questions. So we've got, Charlotte Vivi. Hi, Charlotte. How are you? Emily's live. Yes, I am live. It's strangely scary, but yes, who else have we got? Oh, Matt's saying hello to Charlotte. Oh, we've got Maisel Tejera. Let me tell you about Maisel. Now, he is killing it. Every time I see you online, Maisel, I'm like, this guy, like, absolutely nailing it. He's been out in Italy doing some drum clinics and stuff like that, as far as I can remember. I hope I've got that right, Maisel. But hello to you. I love that we've got so much of the bonkers squad in. That's so exciting to me. So let's get back to these questions that have come in before. Again, if you have any follow-up questions, then please do feel free to put them in the chat. Oh yes, I did get that right. Fantastic. Thank you for the sweet words. My pleasure, Maisel. So my next questions are sort of based around gear and practicing. So here's one, right? So how do you choose new cymbals if your local shops have a limited selection? Now this one, I've had this one a few times and it's a nightmare. I'm not going to lie to you. Like, it is a pain if your local shop doesn't have a lot of variety. You know, I grew up in London. I used to go to Wembley Drum Centre, there, which doesn't exist anymore, actually, I don't think. But they had such an array of different equipment to try. It was fantastic. It was like a haven. But obviously, if you're not in that position, I think if I were in a position where I didn't have access to stuff to try, I'd probably have a two-pronged approach. So, well, I'd try two things, actually. The first is that I would see if there are any trade shows going on, because I find that they're really good for going to and trying stuff out. Obviously, there are hundreds of other drummers or whatever instrument you're playing. They're all trying stuff out. It can be hard to hear the quality of what you want to hear within a drum or a cymbal or whatever. But you can still get an idea of how things sound. The second approach I would have is to find some clips online, and obviously they're going to be recorded in a certain way, they're going to be in a certain room. Also, the consistency between cymbals specifically, there's always going to be some differences in how they sound. So I would buy them with a view to, if you're not happy with it, returning it, basically making sure it's a good returns policy and all that sort of stuff. Get it, try it out, send it back if it doesn't work. That's what I would suggest. There's no ideal situation. Either that, or it's what I used to do. If I would go to a gig and I would hear a drummer with a drum or some cymbals that I really liked, I'd just go talk to them, or I would just go and perv over their kit and be like, what are they using? So yeah, that's what I would do. And actually, it reminds me of the story. So I went and saw Tom Meadows, right? He's Kylie's drummer, used to play with Duffy, fantastic drummer, used to play with Will Young. I love that man. He is such an amazing drummer and a wonderful human. He's helped me out a lot over the years. His feel, his groove is fantastic. And he was playing, it was a jam night that used to happen in North London at the Ranelagh pub. It was called the Toy Box, which I've spoken about a few times on this podcast. and he was playing this snare drum, and I just remember being like, Tom, what is that snare drum? And he was like, oh, it's a Craviotto walnut, blah, blah, blah. And I was like, oh my God, it's the most delicious sounding snare drum I've ever heard. I said, dude, if you ever sell that, tell me. And he was like, yeah. Now, as if he's going to remember that. Anyway, cut to, I don't know, probably 10 years later, I'm down at Rusty Drums, which is a drum company that deals in vintage drums, right? And I was there, and I was trying out my Ludwig that I now have, and I was like, oh, it's really nice. And somehow I happened across this snare drum that I was like, what's that? And he was like, oh, it's a Craviotto walnut. And I was like, oh my God, I've been after one of these for like 10 years. And I was like, can I try it? And I played it. And I was like, oh my God, this is amazing. I have to have it. And then I was like, whose was it? And he goes, oh, Tom Meadows. And I was like, that guy. So I literally got the snare drum that I heard on that day. It ended up making its way to me, and I love that snare drum so much. Anyway, sorry, that's a bit of a tangent, but that's how I would probably handle that. Probably that's the best option that I can give you there. So the next question is, have you ever used drum triggers mixed with mic'd sounds like Randy Castillo did? Hell yeah. So in two scenarios, actually. So when it's live, I have used live triggers. I'm trying to think. So the most notable gig I think that I used triggers on the acoustic drums was Cher Lloyd. That was back in 2012. I'll give you a little tip with triggers live. Specifically the kick drum, because there can be some latency which makes it sound like you're striking the drum twice, and this particular way of triggering it was to like bring another layer of sound to the kick drum, so you have to take the attack off, so you only get the tail end of the actual sample. So there you go, there's a little tip there. And then in terms of recording, absolutely, it's so much fun layering sounds on top of acoustic sounds to create something completely unique. And whilst I wouldn't actually have triggers on my acoustic drums, what I would do is I would create a MIDI track from the drums that I'd recorded, so a separate kick drum track, and I would make a MIDI track just of the kick drum, same with the snare drum, same with the toms, and then I would sort of like, just for me it was more of a creative endeavor, just like messing around and seeing like what I could create. And just sometimes I wouldn't even give it to the actual client, it was purely for my benefit. I was like, well, this is kind of fun. So yeah, absolutely. I think, like anything, I think these are tools to be used, and as long as you're using them to enhance whatever you're doing and not relying on them, or I don't know, I think being open to these things is really useful to use it in a creative way, if that makes sense. I don't know if that makes sense. Right, I'll do one more question here, and then I'll come to the live chat to see if there's been any questions in the room. So, am I talking really fast? I feel like I'm talking really fast. I'll try to slow down. Funnily enough, Rob, you were talking about this to me yesterday. So Rob Quinn runs this genealogy site. He does genealogy, specifically Irish genealogy, which I find fascinating, and he does these amazing talks about his ancestry and other people's ancestry. And he did this talk the other day, and he was like, I think it went all right, but I spoke so quickly, I spoke too quickly, and now I feel I'm doing the same thing, so I need to take a moment and just relax. Okay, so last question before I come into the room, as it were. What's the best way to get more regular access to an acoustic kit for practice? I love that these are very drum centric, aren't they? Which, let's face it, I'm a drummer, and most of the people in the room right now are drummers, and I love you for it. So I currently don't have access to an acoustic kit. I have had long stretches of time where I've not had access to an acoustic kit. So when I was very, very, very young, I was still in school. Luckily, they had drums at the school, so I would go in before school, at lunchtime, and after school to practice. So if you're of school age, if you have that facility at your school, have a talk to someone, let you in early, or make a deal, or whatever it is, because I'm sure that people will want to support any young person that is showing an interest in music in that way, in any creative endeavor in that way. So have a chat to your teachers or wherever else. When I was older, I would, to get access to an acoustic kit, quite simply, I would rent out rehearsal rooms. So when I was doing that, they used to offer like cheap rates for drummers that wanted to come in during the day. So it was like a $5 an hour basically. So I would just book out a 4-hour slot or an 8-hour slot, and I would just do everything that I needed to do, often just learning new songs, very rarely playing for myself, if I'm honest. And I would just blitz it basically. Often to my detriment, I will say, because I mean, you guys know me well enough. It's kind of just who I am. I go hard or I go home, and often I go home sick. But yeah, so I would say that. And in terms of like the financial aspect, if that's a struggle, then maybe offering to work at music studios in return for studio time versus being paid, that can work as well. And then you're kind of in that scene as well. You know what I mean? So I don't know whether that helps. I hope it does. So yes, that's my answer. That's my answer. Right, I'm going to come to the chat real quick and we can see what's been going on. So, let's see. David Frontman, I feel so alive now. Bless you, David. I have missed all you guys. Like, I was reminiscing to someone the other day. If people don't know, so in COVID, I was live streaming like 2 or 3 times a week. And consistently there was this cohort of beautiful people known as the Bonker Squad. That's what they ended up being known as, and always will be known as to me. Who would turn up and we would hang out and we would chat. I would be recording songs for people, but we would be chatting about all sorts of stuff. And it really became such a beautiful community and time. And so to come back and be able to do these live streams occasionally, not as often as I'd like. I will say it's partly down to my internet connection, because I am not in my house right now because the internet is so shoddy, like it's actually embarrassing. But anyway, yeah, it's just really lovely to be back with you guys. So, right. Adam Stanley. Hello, Adam Stanley Drums. Oh my goodness, I have a voice note from you that I have not listened to yet. I've just realised. I apologise. Right. So, Adam Stanley says hi to Charlotte and Matt. And okay, so Adam is saying, I find Sweetwater Music does loads of awesome and extensive cymbal demos on YouTube. Really helpful for A-Being them. There you go. That's a great answer. Thank you for sharing that, Adam. If anyone else has answers to these questions, by the way, please pitch in. I am more than open. So there you go. Sweetwater apparently has a great selection of cymbals that they showcase. So if you're looking to try some new cymbals out, maybe start there, and then, as I say, order them, make sure they have a good returns policy, and see how you go with it. But I love that. Thank you for that, Adam, and also hello and sorry. So Rob says, haha, your tempo is great. See, Rob, now that's what I was gonna say to you yesterday. I was thinking, I bet that your tempo was fine when you were talking, but you feel like it's quick, because there's something about the adrenaline when you're talking, especially by yourself, that you suddenly become hyper aware of like how quickly you're speaking, or how your elocution is, or whatever else, how you're saying words. But actually out front, it's fine. And this is what I was saying to Rob about doing talks. And what I will say to anyone that's looking to do any sort of public speaking, I think that's why it's really useful to film yourself. In the same way playing, record yourself, listen back, film yourself, watch it back. Same with talking, just to know that what you're doing and how it's coming across are the same, or as close as it can be to how you perceive it to how it's being perceived outside, if that makes sense. So, but thank you for your kind words, Rob. I really appreciate that. And Matt Lacey is saying, hey, Adam, yes, I agree. Sweetwater is great for that. Okay, fantastic. So head to Sweetwater. It sounds like that is the place to have a listen to cymbals when you don't have the physical place to go and try them. So that's great. Right, getting back to some questions. Okay, Jeff from Cleveland. We actually have a name. Hey, Jeff from Cleveland. So Jeff is saying, when is it essential to have insurance for your gear, and what's the best way to set it up? Now, I don't know if this is like bad. But, okay, I have never taken out insurance for my instruments specifically. I will say that I'm a member of the MU, the Musicians Union, which is in the UK, and by default you have some form of insurance on your instruments. In saying that, I've never looked into it. I've never looked it up. I guess I've been incredibly lucky in that I've never had anything stolen or damaged. Well, nothing past sort of what happens on the road generally. And when that happens, I just kind of fix it, or I allow it to be battered up. Like, I know that my drums, when they're going on the road, there's going to be some wear and tear, and I kind of just, I guess I resign myself to that. It's why I choose the certain kits that I do to take on the road. They're ones that I'm happy to throw in the back of a truck, versus, for instance, I would never take my Ludwig on tour. Absolutely not. There's no way that's happening, because it means too much to me for it to be damaged. Plus, it's already damaged. Like, it's already really, like, well used, should we say. And that was before I got my hands on it. So you can imagine how not wrecked it is, but it's well used. It's well used and well loved. But there are people that I know that do insure their gear. Honestly, it's just not something that has ever entered into my mind. And I think it might be, now that I'm thinking about it consciously, I think it purely might be a habit of when I was younger. Quite simply, I don't think I could afford insurance on my drums. I mean, I think that's all it is. And since I've never had it, it's never even occurred to me to get it. So again, I just don't have the experience in that. So I'm very sorry, but I don't have a good answer for that one, but that is my answer, I guess. So as I say, Musicians Union, and I don't know, I assume it's a UK thing, Musicians Union, but I'd imagine that there must be an American version of that, because MU as well gives you liability insurance, which is very useful for if you're doing wedding gigs or function gigs or anything like that. If anything bad happens, you're covered. So, well, as far as I understand it, again, never had to use it, so I just have no idea. But no, none of my drums or anything are insured. Maybe that's a bad thing to admit. Maybe someone's gonna come steal all my drums now. I hope not, but you won't know where they are anyway, haha. But yeah, insurance, I don't have a lot of experience with that, I'm afraid, Jeff, so I'm sorry that's such a rubbish answer. Right, I'll do one more question from before, and then I'll come back to the live chat. So Rob, who is in the room now, hi Rob. Hi Rob again. So, do you practice much anymore, and what does that look like? So, as I mentioned before, no. I don't have access to an acoustic kit at the moment. I choose not to, and that's fine. And in all honesty, the majority of my practice time, bar maybe from like 2021, I want to say, was purely, or maybe 2022 realistically, was purely functional. So if I would only practice when it was for a reason, when there was a gig coming up, when, you know, there was a tour coming up, when there was a recording session coming up or whatever, or The Voice or whatever, that would be the reason that I would practice, basically. I don't know what that says about me, but it is what it is. But I will say from sort of mid-2021, I think it was, I started practicing for myself as well, which was very interesting to say the least. So I always told myself I was a really bad improviser, no good at drum solos, absolutely hated it. It was purely because I just didn't do a lot of it, and it really intimidated me. So what I would do is set a timer for 30 minutes and just play and record it. And just play with nothing to inform me, no metronome, no music, no nothing. And I would just see what happened. And it was some of the best practice I think I ever did, because it really challenged the boundaries of how I saw myself as a drummer, and it made me realize the things that I could do without having any expectation. And it was more about exploration versus a goal of like learning a song or being ready for a tour or whatever the goal was. There was no goal, and it was very freeing. It was terrifying at first, absolutely terrifying. I hated it. But actually I started to enjoy it, and I did live stream some of it actually for a while, when I was going through phases of like, this was me trying to like, not trick myself into doing more of it, but being like, I'm going to make this more valuable by sharing it with other people and making myself more accountable and all these sorts of things. So that was kind of my thoughts on that. At least that was the reason I was doing it. But that was the last time I was properly practicing, was probably 2022, maybe the beginning of beginning of 2023, of course. Maybe into the middle of 2023 basically. But yeah, recently, nah, not at all. It's again, slightly embarrassed saying that, but hey, here we are. It's what we're here for. So we're already 30 minutes in. Oh geez. Okay, so we've got another 6 questions left, but let's go for something in the group, if there is one in the group. So David Lamids, how you doing? I have a new drum kit, Yamaha Gig Maker, for my public rehearsal studio, but it's a replica. Lol, I didn't know you could get a replica. Okay, that's awesome. I had problems with hoops and heads in it are rough. What can I change or modify to make it better? Oh, dude, that's really hard to answer without knowing exactly what the issue is. I feel like that is the problem with replicas, is that the hoops and the heads, like the bearing edges, aren't always even. So often you can have trouble with the head sitting. So you could actually see if you can find a drum maker or someone that can bevel, is that the right word? Like redo the drum edges basically, so that they're flat, so that they're even, and so that the drum head sits properly on it, and the same with the hoops, and hopefully that will help it. But aside from that, I don't really know what to suggest. That's kind of me, a bit of a shot in the dark there. I'm going to assume that there would as well. But yeah, sorry that I don't have a better answer to that. But we'll see. Hopefully that helps. And then Matt Lacey is saying the MU insurance isn't default. Oh, there you go. You need to fill in a form and confirm the instrument details. Also, cover is limited to $2,500, I think. I have it and it is good. Okay, there you go. So if you're in the UK, you have to sign up for the MU insurance. See, this is how little I've looked into it. This is embarrassing. I'm meant to be an adult. But yeah, so the insurance side of things, just look into that if you're with the MU or whatever kind of body, musician body. Make sure that it is part of your policy, as it were. And if not, then sign up to it. Thinking about it now, Matt, I think I did sign up to it, but it was like 4 years ago, and I'm going to assume you have to do it every year, so I am not covered. I know that for sure. Adam Stanley says, no worries, Em. I'm currently reliving 2020 lockdown by listening to your stream while practicing latent ADHD. Hope you're well, enjoying the advice. Thank you, Adam. That's very kind. So that's so funny that you are literally talking about the lockdown episodes that I was doing. Yeah, that was a weird time. I was very much like doing episodes and then just going, why am I doing these episodes? This is not important in this time. Like, this isn't relevant. And that's why I think it shifted more to the live stream side of stuff, because I seem more valuable just coming together with people, if that makes sense, rather than going, so this is how you tour, when at the time we didn't even know if touring was ever going to come back. And it was so, I struggled a lot with those episodes, like finding value and not just doing them for the sake of them, because that is me. I will never do things for the sake of it. I can't. It's just not in my bones. Another one from Adam says, oh yeah, drums. What tips do you have for developing your unison hand blues shuffles? Yours is always so nice. Oh, bless you. I don't know. What are my tips for that? I guess just doing more of it. Like, I know that's rubbish. Do you know what? It's never been a conscious thing for me, but please bear in mind I was brought up playing a lot of blues. So, and it definitely developed, I will say that, because in fact, when I very first started out, I really despised the two-handed shuffle, and I don't know why. I just had a real aversion to it. And it wasn't because I couldn't play it, I just didn't like it as a sound. Now I think it's the most gorgeous thing ever. It's like a train just like running down the track, and I love that so much. But yeah, in terms of how to develop that, I mean, my thing is always just recording yourself and listening back, recording to songs and just locking in with whoever's doing that two-handed shuffle, just finding people that do it well, that kind of Texas shuffle thing, and locking in. I don't know, I know that's such a rubbish thing, but I'm pretty sure that's all I did. I just did a lot of it, basically. And Maisel says, you don't have a studio anymore? No, I don't. So I basically ended up losing my studio as part of the divorce situation, to put it mildly and in a very simple way. Let's just say that. Yeah, so I don't have my studio anymore, unfortunately. It is a shame. I love that space so much. So much. But it is what it is. And do you know what? I think you guys know me well enough to know I kind of, whatever situation I'm put in, I do try and make the best of it, the most of it. I embrace it. And that's why I've kind of really lent into the coaching side of things, and my psychology and counseling degree. And I don't know, it feels like an interesting chapter right now, a really interesting chapter. And I have like a lot more balance in my life, and yeah, it's interesting. I've started boxing, which is fun, but yeah, no studio, unfortunately. Right, let's get back to these questions that have come in beforehand. Right, I'm keeping one eye on the time here, people. So let's go for, okay, so these questions are kind of to do with like performance and musicianship. So first one, how do you feel whenever you play the drums? Now, I probably could do an episode about this, but I don't think that it would be valuable to anyone but me. I feel like it would be a bit of a therapeutic sort of therapeutic episode, because what I recently realized in the last year or so is that I'll try not to go too like deep into this, but I've never been good at expressing feelings that are anything but positive in my life, for whatever reason. The drums, when I play the drums, that's literally a joke for one person that probably won't even see this. When I play the drums, it was, because this isn't the case now, it was the only time that I was able to allow myself to feel all of the emotions on the human spectrum, if you like. And so what do I feel when I play the drums? Everything, like everything. And it was often influenced by whatever the song was about. Whatever the lyrics were, whatever the melodies were, whatever I was latching onto, I would grab hold of that emotion and try to really internalize it and then externalize it so that I could perform and do all that. And if anyone has seen me play live, especially in the last, let's say 10 years, you've seen me do this, because I'm sometimes screaming on the stage, I'm angry, I'm aggressive, like all these things that I am not in real life, or I'm trying to be more open to feeling all the feelings, but yeah, that was definitely my outlet for sure. So what do I feel? All the things. So let's see what else we've got Simon is saying, what is your pre-show and post-show routine? Could you give an example of a bad habit you or others had and what to do instead? Okay. Yeah, so pre-show routine, honestly, the only thing that I consistently would do, like I don't warm up. I don't. Very rarely. If I do, it's usually because it's with someone else and it's more of a bonding thing. Same with, I used to do, and this is hilarious, I used to do vocal warm-up exercises with Tom Bailey and the rest of his band. Not because I was singing, well, I guess I was, but I shouldn't have been. But it was purely for a kind of bonding, like coming together as one before we went on stage. But the only thing and then for Kim, actually, we used to do a really nice thing of getting around in a circle and doing silly dances around each other. There was a moment that we would share together in a circle. It was with our feet, it was silly, it was great. And also doing shots, not necessarily of alcohol, sometimes water, which was quite a nice way to just come together and be a cohesive unit before you walk on stage. I think there's something really important about that, and I really enjoy that. But something that I personally do every time I go on stage is I get into what I call battle mode. And that is literally like, it's weird. It's like putting on my armor and getting ready to fight. Like I get really aggressive. It's almost like I'm trying to win over the audience and like I assume that I have to prove myself, or it's like there's this aggression, there's this primal kind of feeling and state that I kind of put myself in before I go on stage. So that's what I do beforehand. And I don't think I've seen any really bad pre-show rituals, aside from people drinking quite a lot sometimes, which obviously I'm not going to name names, but sometimes that can be a little bit like, oh gosh, okay. and they would go through waves, like it wasn't all the time. But post-show rituals that are bad, absolutely. Eating so much food after shows, oh my goodness, pizza especially. There's something beautiful. Oh, and kebabs. We used to have kebabs after shows. Oh, they're fantastic. But it's the worst thing ever for after a show because, oh, it's just, especially if you're on a bus as well, oh, it's just gross. It's gross, it's gross, it's gross. So to combat that, I would just put like eating restrictions on myself. Like I would occasionally indulge for sure, but not every night. Like these were happening every night. Like there was one particular tour that I did in the States. The amount of weight that I put on was just unbelievable because I was just eating all of the time, and I don't think I was exercising properly at that time either. So yeah, anyway, those are the bad sort of like rituals, if you like. Right, I'm going to do one more from the prior questions. I'll come to the live and then we'll literally have a few more and then we'll be done because I'm already way over what I said. We're already at 40 minutes here and I said it was going to be 30 to 40 minutes. So I reckon another 10 minutes and then I'll be kicking out of here and leaving you guys to it. So if you have any last minute questions, please do put them in the chat. So this next one is, okay. So these are going to be a little more lighthearted just to finish up because it's Friday, it's music, it's not that deep, and it has been really nice to be here. So Matthew Bailey, who often loves to give me an either or question, has entered into the room metaphorically. I don't think he's here, but basically, yeah, he loves a would you rather, so he's given me a couple just for this. So he said he was going to ease me in, which he has, to be fair, because he often gives me really complicated things, and he always says to me like, oh, you're always on the fence, and I'm like, yeah man, I'm Switzerland. But anyway, Matthew Bailey is saying, would you rather have a pet unicorn that poops rainbows or a dragon that toasts your bread? And obviously you're going to have a dragon that toasts your bread because a dragon is cool and food is involved. So rainbows are lovely, but I think they're lovely because you see them only occasionally. And a unicorn, well, whatever, it's nice. But a dragon, way cooler. So dragon that toast bread for sure. And then the second one, would you rather wear bright orange Crocs or giant red boots? I ain't wearing no Crocs, so we gotta go with the red boots, but they need to be like a burgundy, like a dark red, like a very wine red maybe, because then they'll actually go with my other outfits. And we've only got one more question and then I'll come just to check in the chat, but all things being well, the last question is, are you listening to any good podcasts at the moment? So podcasts seem to be the foundation of my life at the moment, and there's a couple that I've really blitzed, especially through the divorce process. It's kind of kept me level, well, as level as I can be. But yeah, so The Dollop is one of them, which is about basically American history. It spotlights certain people or events in American history. Very interesting, very funny. Two comedians. Dave and Gareth, so I can't remember Dave's surname, that's annoying. Gareth Reynolds and Dave, can't remember, that's very awkward. So that's one of them. Another one's called Behind the Bastards, which is with Robert Evans. Again, he's spotlighting the bastards of history. Very great storyteller, article writer, so that's quite interesting. There's another one that I got put onto recently by Charisse, my Bezzy mate, drummer for Simple Minds currently. She told me about Red-Handed, which is like a true crime thing with two lovely ladies from London, Hannah and Saruti, and that's really interesting. I'm just starting with that, so that's quite an interesting one. My Therapist Ghosted Me, which I love. That's with Vogue Williams and Joanne McNally. Comedy podcast, two Irish lasses chatting away. It's fantastic. And I think that's it. Oh, I do have one that's a guilty pleasure, which is so weird. It's called Knowledge Fight, and if anyone knows what this is, you will know why I'm kind of freaked out about this. Basically, it's two comedians, I'd say, and they are documenting the work of a very far right-winged presenter in the States. It's shocking stuff. Like, it's really awful what he's doing, and they try to sort of chronicle it and also make light of it because it's pretty horrendous, and it's absolutely compelling to me because I can't understand how people just work with such hatred, and then also like it's a little bit culty as well. I love a cult, by the way. Love a cult, not to be in or anything, but just to look at. I find it quite fascinating. So anyway, yes, those are my podcast suggestions. So if you've got any last questions, I'm just gonna check out the chat real quick. Oh, sorry, I'm on the wrong thing. So Maysel says, yeah, I see. Life. Yeah, tell me about it, man. Life. I mean, it's interesting. It's always interesting, I will say that. So David says, we need more live streams of you, Emily. Dude, I was thinking about this. I was like, right, how could I do this more regularly or semi-regularly? So leave it with me, because I do enjoy this so much. I just want to, like, my thing is always, I just want to make sure that it's valuable, not just for the people that are in the room at the time, but listening back or watching back, because, you know, I don't want them going, oh, I don't know who these people are. I don't know what you're talking about. It's very... But I like that I can answer short, sharp questions in inverted commas. So Adam says, post-show pizza is spiritual. You're not wrong, Adam. The combo of grease and cheese and salt, that's it. It's the salt. It's the salt. After sweating your face off is just unbelievable. Yes, David, frontman, more streams. Bring pizza next time. Dude, I will not be doing bad rituals with yous lot. I'm meant to be setting a good example, but you're right. Pizza after a show is like next level amazingness. So what can I tell you? And David says to Adam, how's your vintage Adidas collection? See, this is what I mean. These things that I have not thought about for such a long time. Charlotte Bibby says, in Scotland, we deep fry the pizza after the show. Dude, I still haven't tried that. It scares the bejesus out of me, but I'm quite willing. I think I'm willing. I went to a county fair once when we were touring with Howard Jones, and it was the first time that I understood the depth to which the Americans deep fry stuff. And it was shocking, but also incredible at the same time. I had deep fried olives that were quite nice, actually. But the thing for me is the deep fried sticks of butter. I'm sorry, I don't understand. I don't understand. It just confuses the hell out of me. So, and of course, we're ending on a note where we're talking about food. But yes, anyway, I think those are all the questions that came in before the live. Thank you for joining me, if you have been in the room, and for asking your questions. It's been lovely seeing all you guys, to be fair. Like, it really has. And it's made me realise how much I definitely have missed doing this. Like, I really do just love hanging with you guys. It is so much fun. And yeah, so anyway, I'll end this episode as I end all my episodes, which is, if you have enjoyed this episode, then please do feel free to like, share and subscribe. If you would like to suggest an episode subject or ask a question for one of these Q&A episodes in the future, you can do so if you go to emilydrums.com/AMA. If you would like to reach out for one-on-one coaching, if you want to start reaching your professional goals and all that jazz, then you can go to emilydrums.com and you can book in for a free discovery call, which is 30 minutes where we chat about where you are, where you want to be, and hopefully how I can help you. And if you want to connect over on Instagram, you can if you go to @HeyEmilyDrums. But anyway, I hope that you're doing well. Thank you again to everyone that has joined on this live stream today. Thank you to everyone that has sent in questions beforehand. I hope I've given some at least half decent answers. I really do. But sending you lots of love wherever you are, whatever you're up to. I hope that you're well. It has just started absolutely chucking it down with rain here. But yes, anyway, I shall see you, I guess, next week, and hopefully for another live in the future. But I will see you next week for another episode. And yeah, enjoy your weekends. Thanks, you guys. Sending you lots of love. All right, I'll see you later. Bye.
It's